Hey all, welcome to your Unit 1 review homework. So we are going to today be looking at this review. I'm probably going to break it up into a couple of different parts just to help you, you can watch the parts that mean the most to you or that you need to look at the most. So we're going to start by going over what is on this paper. So one, look at the topics, make sure to read over the topics, and then also check out the key points here and make sure to read those because those will definitely be helpful in assisting you with your unit test. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is go over each of the practice problems. Now, for whatever reason, Word is being kind of weird right now, and so I'm going to be going over the practice problems on the right side in this space. I do recommend that if you need more space, you use a piece of scratch paper because showing your work for these will be critically important. All right, so for this first one, we have a denominator, which is not ideal. And what I would strongly recommend that you do is that you go ahead and multiply everything by 6, which is the least common multiple of 3 and 6. The reason I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show you this step by step, because I want you to see what happens with this fraction. So I need to multiply everything times 6 in order for this to work. Okay, because in order for the sides to stay balanced, we need to multiply by the same thing for everything. Now, I could go ahead and distribute this here, but I don't want to distribute because my whole purpose in doing this was to get rid of that 6 in the denominator. I realized that I also wrote that wrong. That should be a 3. Okay, and so when I do that, then I'm going to have 6 divided by 3, and so you can divide this instead of distributing. All right, because multiplication and division are kind of interchangeable, right? We move from left to right. So 6 divided by 3 is 2 times negative x plus 2 is greater than 6 divided by 6 is 1x plus 12. Now I can distribute my 2 because I don't have a denominator, and we have negative 2x plus 4 is greater than x plus 12. I'm going to go ahead and subtract. I need to get my x's together. So I can either add 2x on this side or I can subtract 2x from this side. Either one will get you the correct answer, okay? So if I subtract x from this side, then x minus x is 0. 2x minus x is minus 3x plus 4 is greater than 12. Subtract 4 from both sides. And we get negative 3x is greater than 8. And then I can go ahead and divide both sides by negative 3. Now when I divide both sides by negative 3, we have to go ahead and switch our signs. So this becomes x is less than negative 8/3. All right, and you can leave it as that, or you can put it in decimal form or in a mixed fraction. Either one of those is also fine. Okay, let's look at practice problem 2. So go ahead and move this over. All right, so for practice problem 2, I have negative x plus 3 over 18 is greater than x over 9 plus 2. So same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and multiply this whole thing by 18 because that is going to be our least common multiple, and it's going to help me get that 18 out of the denominator. So I'm going to start by 18 times negative x plus 3 over 18 is greater than 18 times x over 9 plus 36. 18 divided by 18 is 1, so we can cancel that one out. We're left with negative x plus 3 is greater than 18 divided by 9 is 2, so 2x plus 36. And now I can go ahead and I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, and I'll get negative 3x plus 3 is greater than 36. Subtract 3 from both sides, and we get negative 3x is greater than 33. I'm going to divide by a negative, so my sign is going to flip, and all of x is less than negative 11. Okay? Now, I am going to show you for this one another way that I could have done it from this step here. So if instead of subtracting x from the right side, subtracting 2x from the right side, I moved them to the other side, so if instead I added x, to both sides to get rid of this, then this would become 0 plus 3 is greater than 2x, and x is 3x plus 36. Then I can subtract 36 from both sides, and I'll get negative 33 is greater than 3x. Divide both sides by 3. Now notice here I'm dividing by a positive, so I'm not going to flip the sign, but I'll get negative 11 is greater than x. And that is the same as x is less than negative 11. And that's why when we divide by that negative sign, we have to flip, or multiply by a negative too, we have to flip the sign. So here instead I just moved the negative number to the other side, and then at the end you can rewrite this with the variable on the left hand side. But both ways will get you the same inequality or the same answer. Alright, so now we're looking at some situations. And this says a student has started a car wash business. He charges $15 per hour to wash the outside of the car and $20 per hour for detailing the inside. Because he is still in school, he is only allowed to work for at most 30 hours per week. His goal is to make at least $400 per week. So let's write the two inequalities for this problem. So one, we have inside versus outside. So let's say that outside is x and inside is y. It's important to define what your variables mean so you don't get confused. So outside is $15 per hour and inside is $20 per hour. And then he wants to make at least $400. So that's going to be greater than or equal to 400. On the other hand, he's only allowed to work 30 hours per week. So the amount of time he works outside versus the amount of time he works inside has to be less than or equal to 30. It's or equal to because it says at most here, which means it could be 30, right? That's an okay value. So now we have a system of inequalities that we can graph and look for the answer. This isn't asking us to do this. This is just about writing that and using these words. All right, the next one, a student has started a hair business. She charges $30 per hour. So let's take a look at that. $30 per hour for coloring. So let's say coloring is X and cuts is Y. So 30X plus 20Y. And it says she has a lot of homework, so she can work at most 20 hours per week. So X plus Y has to be less than or equal to 20. And her goal is to make at least $350. So those are our two inequalities, again specifying that coloring is X and cuts is Y. And this is hours, right? Hours of coloring and cuts. Okay, let's look at our next one, some graphing reminders. So these are just some reminders for graphing. In order to graph, we have to put it into, especially if we're looking at our TI-84s, right? We need to put it in slope-intercept form or y-intercept form. And so in order to do that, I have to solve for y. So let's do that for the first set of inequalities. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. All right, so for this one right here, I want to solve for y. So 15x plus 20y is greater than or equal to 400. I'm going to subtract 15x from both sides, and we'll get 20y is greater than or equal to negative 15x plus 400. All right, now I can go ahead and divide both sides by 20. And remember, every term needs to be divided by 20. So we'll get y is greater than or equal to negative 15 over 20x plus 20. 400 divided by 20 is 20. So now you have your y-intercept, and you also have a slope, and that can help you to graph. Remember, you can rewrite that slope as negative 3 over 4, dividing both sides, the numerator and denominator by 5. And then if you need to, in order to graph, you can multiply this slope by 1 in whatever form you need to. So for example, if you wanted to multiply to make it in terms of back to terms of 5s, right, moving up by 5s, then you could rewrite it as such. That would be a perfectly acceptable thing to do. All right. Or if you want it to be out of tens, you can multiply the whole thing by 10 over 10. And the reason you don't have to do it to the whole inequality is because you're multiplying it by 1. 10 over 10 is 1. And so you're multiplying it to get itself. You're just writing it in a different form. It says, what would the x and y intercepts be? So obviously our y-intercept here is 20. And then our x-intercept would be when y is 0. So in that equation up above, it was 15x plus 20y. 15x plus 20y is greater than or equal to 400. If y equals 0, then we would have 15x is greater than or equal to 400. And so 400 divided by 15 gives us 26 2/3, or 26.6666. So in this case, then our x-intercept, right, our y-intercept is 0, 20, and our x-intercept is 26 2/3, 0. All right, so I'm going to pause there.